This seems so stupid, but it's so much deeper than what it actually is. I, 36-year-old female, was doing a deck project and needed to know where the sandpaper was in the garage. I called my husband, 39-year-old male. We've been married for 12 years, together since I've been 19 years old, to ask where the sandpaper was. He said, "Oh, I'm just around the corner on my way home. I'll come see what you were doing and help you find it." So I wait less than 30 seconds on the front deck for him. He passes and I smile and wave. He pulls into the laneway and gets out of the truck. Looks at me and says, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Waiting for you," with a smile. He looks at me with a blank stare and then proceeds to walk away, saying nothing after that, and heads into the house. I wait and think maybe he is dropping something off as I couldn't see his hands. A minute goes by and I don't hear him come back out. I then look through the window and he is making himself a snack. I walk to the side door and ask what he is doing, and not even snarky, just legitimately asking him. He snaps and says, "Well, I need to make myself food first." I explain that I thought we were going to continue our conversation and him help me find the sandpaper, or even just tell me when he got home. He said, "Well, no, I need to have my lunch first." I then say, "Well, you could have at least said just a second, or explain your want to prep your lunch first instead of asking what I'm doing, like we haven't just had a conversation seconds before." We then get in an argument about how I'm crazy to think he would drop everything to help me as soon as he got home. I told him all it would have taken would be a quick "just a sec" instead of leaving me hanging. Nope, I'm crazy and there is no one in the world that would ever expect that of their husband. And I have too high standards. I feel like this is so minor on the outside, but I felt 100% unimportant, and I told him that he could have said "just a sec" and I would have been like, "Cool, but what are you doing?" And then walked away when I said "waiting for you" felt like a stab in the heart to me. Backstory, we do have issues with this from the past. He would always put parties and friends before our plans, promise me trips, things, and just family time, and then bail and put others first. He would leave with his friends or work with no notice, no goodbye, etc. I didn't say anything for years and would just live life like this. It made me very distant over time and less vulnerable. And there is so much more to our story that I could write a novel about. We are working on things and have almost split many times, but always decided to keep going. Simple events like this hurt deep since I've gone through years of being second best and never a priority in his life. It makes me feel like he doesn't want to even attempt to put me first, and I just ask for some acknowledgement with a "just a sec" or something. He says I just always want to be made, but that is not the case at all. Like he was laughing at me when I got teary-eyed about it. I never got mad, just sad and not even full-blown crying. I was quiet and open, since our neighbors were outside. I feel like this will be my life forever if I stay. Just a frickin' cycle of emotional bull. And feeling like I have too high of expectations. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. This sounds like it was designed by him to hurt you. It's not a surprise that your marriage has had all the problems that it has had, given how utterly disrespectful he is towards you. Comment 2. This guy sounds like a jerk, and I'm not even sure why you would want to spend your life beside him. You're not too old to start over. Get out of there. Now, for the update. Thanks for the comments on my last post. This week has been very eventful, and I'm not sure where to start. After the sandpaper incident, things went from bad to worse. My husband's ex-girlfriend, who he always insisted was just a friend, showed up out of the blue. She needed a place to stay just for a couple of nights. Against my better judgment, I agreed. I thought maybe this was a test, a chance for him to prove he'd put me first. I was wrong. The first night, I heard them laughing in the kitchen while I was trying to sleep. The next morning, I found a note from him saying he'd taken the day off to show her around town. I was livid. I spent the day alone, working on the deck, trying to ignore the nagging feeling in my gut. When they finally came back, they were both a little too tipsy and a little too close for comfort. I confronted him and he brushed it off, saying I was overreacting. But later that night, I overheard them arguing. She was accusing him of still having feelings for her. He didn't deny it. He just said it was complicated. The next day, she was gone. But the damage was done. I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to their story than he'd ever admitted. I decided to do some digging. I found old emails, photos, and even a love letter he'd written her just before we got married. It was like a punch to the gut. I confronted him again, this time with the evidence. He broke down, admitted he'd always had feelings for her, but insisted he loved me more. He begged for forgiveness, promised it would never happen again. I wanted to believe him, but something held me back. Then my sister called. She'd been going through a rough patch with her husband and needed someone to talk to. I invited her over, and as we talked, I realized how similar our situations were. She'd been putting up with her husband's lies and excuses for years, always hoping things would change. But they never did. I was determined not to end up like her. I told my husband we needed a break. He agreed, reluctantly. He moved into the guest room and we started living separate lives under the same roof. But then, the unthinkable happened. I found out I was pregnant. It was a shock. We hadn't been trying, and with everything going on, it was the last thing I needed. I told him, and for a moment, it seemed like things might turn around. He was overjoyed, said this was a sign we were meant to be together. I wanted to believe him, but I couldn't forget the past. I decided to keep the baby, but I wasn't sure about us. I started making plans to leave, to start a new life with my child. And then, he did something unforgivable. He went behind my back and told my entire family about the pregnancy, framing it as a happy announcement. He spun a story of us reconciling, of being a happy family. My family was thrilled, and suddenly, I was the villain for even considering leaving him. I was trapped. I couldn't break my family's hearts, not when they were so excited about the baby. I agreed to give our marriage another try, but deep down, I knew it was the wrong choice. I just didn't know how wrong it would turn out to be. Thanks for reading. Aita for dumping my boyfriend. After he ditched our trip to stay in Asia for months, my boyfriend and I have been together for almost 3 years now, and we have also been living together for 1 year. He is my first relationship, so I am pretty attached to him. A little bit of backstory. We have only gone on one trip together for 4 days. In the first year, he went away with his family to Asia. Last year, we wanted to travel together, but he started a new job and could not get time off right away. I understood that, and I also supported him in getting this job because he was really unhappy with his old job. He promised me that we would go together this year for sure. Well, his parents invited him to go on a family trip to Asia again this year, exactly the same time we planned our trip. He took their offer and canceled our plans. He will be gone for 1 month. Another thing I am very mad and disappointed about is that he just decided, without talking to me first, to stay for 4 months in Asia, 1 month with his friend and the rest alone. I was very mad that he didn't talk to me first. He never mentioned something like this before, so it was out of the blue for me. Also, the fact that he made this decision without discussing it with me beforehand. When I confronted him about it, he told me that this has nothing to do with me, and I don't have the right to have an opinion about it, because it does not involve me. He said he will go, and there is nothing I can do about it. I mean, he can go, but to say it doesn't involve me? I am part of this relationship too, and isn't it important to talk to your partner first before making decisions like this? Maybe I don't want to have a long-distance relationship for 4 months. I just feel like he behaved really selfishly, and I'm disappointed that he made that decision by himself and canceled our trip. He also suddenly said that he wouldn't have the money to go on a trip with me. His parents are paying for his vacation. He also said that if it weren't for me, he would be gone for 10 months, and I should be happy that it will only be 4 months. Again, he never mentioned any plans like this in our whole relationship. I'm just so mad and feel betrayed and blindsided. He feels like I'm not supporting him, but I can't support him with the way he handled this. I'm seriously thinking about breaking up with him. I just can't trust him anymore, and I think he will make decisions behind my back, like taking a job and moving to another city or something like that. But I don't know if I may be over-dramatizing this whole thing. My friends think I am right, but they are my friends, so maybe they are kind of biased. I would love to hear other opinions. I just can't stop thinking about this whole situation. I am scared that I am making a mistake breaking up with him over this and will regret it. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Tell him to have fun in Asia for 10 months and that you'll be enjoying the single life. Once you're with other partners, I'm sure you'll see just how many red flags this guy has on a day-to-day basis. He sounds like a jerk. You should break up with him. Comment 2. He doesn't care about you or the relationship. He told you straight up that it has nothing to do with you, and he doesn't care about your opinion. If that's how he feels after 3 years together, then I'd be out. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around for this update. So, after he left for Asia, things got even messier. I found out through a mutual friend that he had been planning this extended stay for months. He had even asked for advice on how to tell me, which he obviously never did. I felt like a fool, completely in the dark about my own relationship. Then, a week into his trip, I saw pictures on social media of him cozying up with some girl at a party. When I confronted him over a video call, he brushed it off, saying she was just a friend from his childhood. But I could tell there was more to it. The way they looked at each other, it wasn't just friendly. It was a punch in the gut. Seeing him so carefree and happy without me, I was already on edge, and this was the last straw. I told him we needed to talk seriously when he got back. He agreed, but his attitude was so nonchalant, like he didn't even care about the gravity of the situation. Fast forward to his return, and he acted like nothing happened. He even brought me a gift, as if that would smooth things over, but I couldn't shake off the image of him with that girl, and the betrayal of him keeping his plans a secret. We sat down to talk, and that's when he dropped another bomb. He said he had been feeling trapped in our relationship and needed space to figure things out. He admitted that he had feelings for the girl in the pictures, but insisted they hadn't done anything. He wanted us to take a break while he stayed in Asia longer to find himself. I was livid. All this time, supporting him, and he had the nerve to say he felt trapped. I realized then that I didn't even recognize the person sitting across from me. This wasn't the guy I fell in love with. This was someone who only cared about himself. I made a decision right then. I told him it wasn't just a break. It was over. I couldn't be with someone who had so little respect for me and our relationship. He seemed shocked, but I saw relief in his eyes too. It was clear he had been wanting this for a while. After he left, I felt a mix of emotions: anger, sadness, but also a strange sense of freedom. I started to pick up the pieces of my life without him. I reconnected with old friends, focused on my hobbies, and even started a small side business I had been putting off. It wasn't easy, but I was getting by. Then, out of nowhere, he came back to town. He showed up at my doorstep saying he made a huge mistake and that the girl meant nothing. He begged for another chance, but I could see right through him. He was only back because things didn't work out the way he wanted. I stood my ground and told him to leave. It was hard, but I knew I deserved better. I'd given him enough of my time and energy. It was time to focus on myself. Thanks for reading this far. Aita for telling my partner he's wrong about how full I should feel after dinner. My boyfriend and I are having a really non-big deal debate, but we are both frustrating each other and cannot find much online to actually back up our sides of this. For context, female and male, different sleep patterns. For the nights before, we have not eaten the exact same things throughout the day, the situation and a conversation. F. I still feel hungry around 4 hours after dinner. M. That's weird. You should not. We had the same thing for dinner. F. Yes, but I have eaten less than you throughout the day. M. It does not matter. We had the same dinner at the same time, and food only lasts in your stomach for up to 12 hours. Her perspective. He is saying that because we had the same dinner, I would not feel hungry. But my point of view is that I have eaten considerably less than him today. We both process things differently, have different ways of our body breaking down food, different nutritional needs, etc. But he is focused on the fact that our stomachs should both be, in essence, full because we ate the same thing at the same time, and the other food has already been processed/used/removed. I think that different bodies are much more complex, and each individual, whether that is gender, hormonal cycles, bowel habits, medical issues, or calorie-nutrient requirements, are very different. It is not simply the fact that you eat the same thing at the same time, so automatically it will serve you in the same way. I literally said after the meal that I could eat another burger, half jokingly because I'm not going to go and buy another burger. But I just did not feel like it filled me up, which I concluded was because I had not eaten much in the day, so I was still hungry. His perspective. The way I understand satiety is based on how full your stomach is, coming from recent research and gastro issues, and from previous research that food only sits in your stomach for a few hours. The last proper meal I ate, apart from 3 bites, before we both ate the exact same meal from a restaurant, was more than 7 hours prior, so the food would have moved from the stomach to the intestines. This makes me think our stomachs would both have been as empty as each other's, as the food would have moved elsewhere by then. So when we ate the exact same meal, we would both have been as full unless her stomach was bigger. But she does not think it is. Basically, if she thinks her stomach is not bigger than mine, and we ate the same exact food, and all previous food had moved on, we would both have had our stomachs stretched the same and produce the same ghrelin, so would both feel as full. So the only answer would be, her stomach is bigger than mine, internally not calling her fat lol. Or I have no idea how hunger is created in the body, or how the stomach and intestines work. Ha 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 ha. I have never had a stomach that is very full and still felt hungry, so I cannot understand it. If I ate a meal that made me feel full, I find it impossible to be hungry. Male edit. I had forgotten she had said she was still hungry straight after eating. So this is invalid, although I would like to know how hunger works, and if I am way off. Edit. This has gained a lot of traction. Thank you to everyone who has responded. I wanted to say that the wording of male and female perspective was definitely a poor choice. This was supposed to simply define our different perspectives without saying our names. But male-female can just be clarified as his and her and I have changed that. Also, addressing a few comments. Neither of us are overweight and never have been. We are, of course, different heights. I am much smaller and he is much taller. Thanks. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. This isn't a male-female thing, or even a who or what throughout the day thing. Different people's bodies are different, that's it. If you're hungry, you're hungry. It doesn't matter whether boyfriend thinks it's logical. You could just as well say he should be hungry, since you both ate the same things throughout the day. But of course, that would be ridiculous. Comment 2. If she's still hungry, she's still hungry, dude. Just because you haven't experienced it doesn't mean it can't happen. Also, she's right that metabolism, time of the month, medications, genetics, sleep health, mental health, and a host of other things could affect appetite. Your argument would only make sense if she was a carbon copy of you and all your habits. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around for this update. So, remember how I mentioned that side character, my so-called friend, who always seemed a bit off? Well, things took a turn for the worse. She started spreading rumors about me at work, saying I was the one who messed up the big project, not her. It got so bad that our boss called me in for a serious talk. I was on the verge of getting fired over something I didn't even do. But that's not even the half of it. My boyfriend's sister, who's always been a bit of a drama queen, decided to stir the pot even more. She told him that she saw me out with some guy, which is a complete lie. My boyfriend, bless him, he trusts me. But you could tell it got to him. We had a huge fight about trust and honesty, which just added to the stress. Then, as if things couldn't get any worse, my car got totaled. Some hit-and-run driver smashed into it while it was parked outside my apartment. No note, no witnesses, nothing. I rely on that car to get to work, and without it, I'm stuck taking the bus, which adds hours to my day. But wait, there's more. My mom called and she's sick, really sick. They're not sure what it is yet, but she's been in and out of the hospital for tests. I've been trying to help out as much as I can, but with everything else going on, it's been tough. Amidst all this chaos, my boyfriend's sister's antics continued. She somehow convinced him that we needed a break to figure things out. So now, on top of everything else, I'm dealing with heartache and the fear of losing him for good. And the cherry on top? My landlord decided now's a great time to sell the building, which means I might have to move out. I've been scrambling to find a new place I can afford, but it's not looking good. Through all of this, I've been trying to keep my head above water, but it feels like I'm just accepting one terrible situation after another. I keep telling myself it's just a rough patch, that it'll get better, but deep down, I'm not so sure. Thanks for reading. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.